Hello, my name is Zan or Sojourn Online, and here's my first entry in a series I'm just gonna call Unmatched After Action Reports. The premise of Unmatched AARs is very simple. I'll just be running commentary on games of Unmatched I play online on TTS. The goal is to identify key moments in the match, win or loss, and offer a post-game critical analysis on my thought process and chosen course of actions during these important points in the game. Ideally, I'll take these lessons learned and play better my future games, and I hope you'll find these takeaways useful for you as well. First up here, I have a game of Invisible Man versus Jekyll Hyde. It's the classic Cobble and Fog matchup, but it's on the Paddock map. But I must confess, Invisible Man isn't one of my favorite characters to play due to his more cagey playstyle, and I think you can see some of my inexperience with Invisible Man show in this game, especially with Fog token placements. But hey, at least there will be good learning points in this AR. Alright, so first up, I got a pretty good hand. Good defensive options, very good offensive options too. And Jekyll Hyde starts first, so he does a simple double maneuver. Alright, and when it's my go, there's no sense to be aggressive too, so I just took a double maneuver too. And this is where I think was my first small mistake. I could have easily just placed this token somewhere behind, such that if Hyde pure evil, yeah, he wouldn't be able to hit me. And predictably, this is what he does. He does 2 instant damage to me, and instant damage is always very bad for Invisible Man. And he hits me immediately. So I was expecting a recoiling blow or any of those big hard hitters. And yep. And I think it was very critical that I managed to negate one of the forever heights. Because every damage you can deal on Invisible Man is really tough. It's my turn, so a simple surprise attack to a feint, which is the best case scenario for a surprise attack outside of an undefended. So 3 damage. And follow up with just more simple attacks. So Jekyll uses his next turn to maneuver and recover some health. And this is where I think you can see a bit of my playstyle come into play. So most Invisible Mans at this point, they will just hang around and try to get back up to 7 cards, do a couple of Reign of Terrors. But hey, I like to play a bit more aggressively, so I maneuvered into a covert preparation. So Jekyll Hyde manages to heal up from that. And next turns, he does 2 more direct damage to me, drawing a feint, using Strange Case. And I was kind of punished for my aggressive behavior. And here is where I think Jekyll Hyde made a critical mistake. So he did a Forever Hyde with only 2 cards in hand. So even if this went through, there wasn't going to be much damage on me. But if I were him, even if I had only 1 Jekyll and Hyde card in hand, I would still at least throw 1 down. It's just to deal 3 points of damage to me. So with Hyde being low on cards, going in a feint, I try to do as much damage as possible. Hindsight, if I played that better, I would have covert preparation first, knowing he had a feint, and then use surprise attack. But I didn't want to risk a skirmish by him or anything like that, where he could escape. So next couple of turns were just allow moments in the game where everyone's just filling up their hand. But nope. With another covert preparation, I started to attack again and allowing him to heal up. But that's alright. Got hit by Recalling Blow, shifted some of the fog tokens around. So the reason why I placed the fog token, one of the fog tokens in the paddock early, was to allow me an out just in case I was somehow skirmished in or was shunted in. Keeping up the aggression with Invisible Man. Very unusual, but I think I prefer this playstyle. And that was I just counting the number of heals he had, and he already used a couple of his healing cards, Farming Research. But in turn, I had taken quite a bit of damage too, a lot of it to Pure Evils, which he just threw another one at me. And again, there was no need for me to have invited this Pure Evil. I should have just hung out here and waited for him to come in. So a feint. So he feinted an attack, which I did not expect. And he managed to pull out a very good defense card for me. But in return, he's going to take some damage. Because I guess he was expecting the skirmish to help save him. But managed to win even the skirmish. Alright, so the issue now with Jekyll Hyde is that he has already used some of his mass damage cards, double forever height, a recalling blow. So he has to rely on his duality of mans and another recalling blow and a couple more strange cases to try to finish me off. So at this point in the game, I started to realize I had to be a bit more defensive, playing the classic Invisible Man. So just hang back, deal some direct damage with Reign of Terrors. Because if a single duality of man sneaks through with at least 3 damage, the game would be much more even at this point. So I finally drew my Vanish about 2/3 of my way through the deck. And couldn't have come at a more opportune time because we were both at the stage where we were drawing up. And I would like to point out that Jekyll Hyde player, he played it very well. So he placed it here such that this would be within range of all my fog tokens. If I came out here, he could just move and attack. So if I were a bit smarter with my fog placement, I wouldn't have placed them in such a case where this would happen. So he drew back up to 7 and perfect time to vanish. This forced a double discard of the scientific method from Jekyll Hyde because he couldn't afford to take more damage, and he had already played both Forever Heights, so he couldn't use this to feed Forever Heights anymore. Alright, so my turn, playing a bit more aggressively again. I appeared next to him, did a rolling fog to place a fog token on me, and then stepped lightly. So the problem of this step lightly was it's a bit greedy of me. I shouldn't have appeared here in the first place because I forgot that step lightly allowed your enemy to move the fog token you're on. So he moved it away from me, but I think he could have just moved it down. So I still managed to maneuver into the Fog token, but this got me into another pure evil. And I think here was a critical moment of the game where I thought, okay, I had to defend against a duality of man or an unrecalling blow, so impossible to see was my best bet. Even with coded notes, I would have taken 2 points of damage, which might have put me in very dangerous range, considering he still had a strange case, I think. So at this point in the game, I just had to play a bit more defensively and let exhaustion do its work and some direct damage. So with a Reign of Terror and a Step Lightly, just had to wait for him to come a bit closer. So we were just filling out our hands again, and this hand is probably Jekyll Hyde's last hand before his deck runs out. So here he makes a play. He uses a skirmish to boost to get to here, wanting to not step in his Fog token because I think he knew that I had a Dreaming of Revenge in hand and he couldn't afford to take the 1 damage. He didn't hit me with anything huge because he was still in Jackal form. Couldn't afford taking the damage. And yep, it was just a small 2 attack, which Coded Notes easily brought it away. And with Coded Notes, that brought me a Rolling Fog. And so next turn, it was a simple matter of just going up next to him, bringing a Fog token there, and dealing the killing blow. Alright, so lessons learned from the game is that number 1, if you're going up against Jekyll and Hyde, always try to, if possible, not to end a zone, not to end a space adjacent to a zone where Jekyll and Hyde can easily pure evil too. That's something that seems like a fundamental thing, but I always seem to keep forgetting it. Number 2, with Invisible Men, be very careful with your Fog tokens. So I could have done a better job of putting them further back or spreading them out a bit. And yep, that's it. Hope to see you in the next AAR.